Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for Wednesday, 20th of May. This is a little late this morning because the one I did earlier, I actually forgot to share the charts, which was really annoying when you only realized after you've reached the end. All right, just before we start, the rest of the stats for this week are neutral. Next Monday is a holiday, and the 3 days after that all lean significantly bullish. Next week actually leans pretty bullish. And the other caveat I want to mention today is that obviously we've got NVIDIA earnings after the close tonight, and that has tended to be a bit of a trigger point for a decent move. But those things aside, we have come down. I was wondering about a retest of the high. We didn't get it. Although I've still drawn in a potential bull flag here, it could potentially make target. But what the obvious read here is we're forming head and shoulder patterns, and we're forming them on ES, which came down very close to the head and shoulder neckline and is bouncing, and on NQ, and on RTY, and on DAX. We've got a nice looking double top, which is formed on ESDX and hasn't broken down yet, of course. And we've got on YM, we've got a double top which has broken down. And could we be forming head and shoulders here? Potentially, yes, we could. I am wondering about that. So I'll go through the targets for the right shoulders in a minute, but just to finish off, Nikkei, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. We've also made the double top target. I am wondering about a larger pattern forming here. It could be a head and shoulders, but we didn't get quite low enough for me to be able to be particularly confident about that. But how does the trend line look? Looks all right, but not compelling. So I'm leaving that out of my calculations at the moment. We've still got open sell signals across the board, and I'm thinking we may well, NVIDIA permitting, make those in the fairly near future. We shall see how that goes. But we've got we've got to see what happens here on equities today, and we've got to see whether we get through NVIDIA. And if that's the case, if that all goes well, then I'm looking at some head and shoulder targets, which are looking fairly ambitious. Now, I was saying on my first webinar this morning, which I had to junk, that the ideal right shoulder high would be at the weekly pivot in 7445 area on ES, and we're within 20 handles of that. So I'm thinking we may well make that, and we will see what happens there. NQ, the ideal right shoulder high would be up here at about the 29,500 area. On RTY, the ideal right shoulder would again be at the weekly pivot at 28,278. DAX, we're almost there actually, but ideally in about the just under 25,000. ESTX, if this is a right shoulder forming, no, this isn't a right shoulder forming. And Nikkei, if this is a right shoulder forming, we're basically already there. If we go higher, that will weaken the case that this is a head and shoulders forming. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on this. Alrighty. Okay, now starting off with ES. ES, we have not made it back to the daily middle band, and we haven't made that back on SPX or the Qs either. That's a big level, and when we get there on ES, we would be in the 73.17 area. Currently. On SPX, that would be in the 73.02.28 area, and you can see the little head and shoulders forming here. We've got a fixed RSI 5 sell signal, full size one on SPX. We've got one on Qs. We've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed on Dia, and we have a full RSI 14 sell signal fixed on IWM, which so far has been leading the way down. In terms of the hourly charts, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal on SPX, but it reached the possible near miss target yesterday. I'm thinking we may well form a right shoulder here. You can see how nice this head and shoulders is. It's very, very nice indeed. Possible failure level here, I would note, because this is the 50 DMA, and you can notice that that tends to be, and this is something I've mentioned before, although not recently, this tends to be a pretty good short-term short-term support and resistance level. In terms of the 15-minute chart, we've got a 15-minute RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and we've got another one of those fixed on Qs. We've got another one of those fixed on Dia. We've got another one of those fixed on IWM. On the Qs, we haven't made it back to the daily middle band yet. That will be significant when we get there, and I've got that in about the 6, 8, 9 area. On the hourly chart, the RSI 14 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. On the 15-minute chart, again, nice looking head and shoulders, forming ideally, that would have a high in about the 714.59 area. Looking at Dia, we don't have a head and shoulders forming here, although we may after the next leg down get to a decent level for that and might form one there. But that level is in about the 487 area. We're not close to it yet. And in the short term, we've got a nice looking little level top, which is broken down and could be rejecting back up to the high. I would love to see a retest of the all-time high at 503.09. But I have to say the best time to do that would have been last week. So I'm less optimistic about reaching that this week. We did break below the daily middle band at the close yesterday. And we are obviously rejecting back above it today, and that would that I'm not really expecting to see a breakdown until after Nvidia. Watching the market's reaction to Nvidia will be very interesting, and we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at IWM. And IWM, obviously, we've got a daily RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We never had anything on the RSI 5. We've made it down to the head and shoulder neckline, and it's nice. And the ideal right shoulder high would be in about the 280 area. And actually, we're almost there. So we've got 3 nice looking head and shoulder patterns on US indices forming right now. And I think they've got a pretty good chance of delivering with the significant wild card of Nvidia earnings coming out tonight. Those Nvidia earnings will be good, and they are real, but they're dependent on an AI bubble, which I suspect won't be lasting forever. It'll be interesting to see what the market's reaction is. In terms of the 15-minute chart, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed here, and that is already made target. Does this look like a bull flag now? It does not. It was actually pretty decent until this last leg down, but this last leg has tipped it over onto more likely head and shoulders forming rather than retest of the high. Looking at DAX, keeping an open mind, looks like head and shoulder forming, as I said. Nikkei has been holding the daily middle band as support, and we will see how that develops. But at the moment, we're still testing that. And I'm not looking for a right shoulder high here, really. I don't think there's enough there to identify this as a potential pattern. All right, in terms of the DX chart. Okay, DX, we've been hanging around a bit. I think we're waiting for the next big spike up on oil, and I would note that oil's actually currently dropped almost 5% over the last day. I bought some. So personally, I'm thinking the every pullback on oil is likely a long entry. However, we have had some like 10 backtrack lines before, and if we're forming a flag, I mean, technically this could be a double top, but I really don't think so. But I'm watching this, and if it goes lower, I will buy more. I think oil is going to be a very good performer over the next couple of months. But until it's going up again, DX is a bit stalled. I think we're just consolidating here, and likely we will go higher afterwards. We do have a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed, and it could be on this pullback. That's going to make target. In terms of the other currency charts, I'm not seeing an awful lot. We have a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed on USD, which may well make target today. GBP already made a target on that yesterday. USD JPY, you're having an okay day so far. USD JPY, we have, and this is bullish for obviously the for DX. We've got a double bottom which is broken up with a target basically at a retest of the April high. And on USD CAD, we've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 1.387 area. After this consolidation, I'm expecting those both to go up and make those targets. So we shall see how that goes. All right, looking at the Australian dollar, possible head and shoulders forming, NZ, possible head and shoulders forming. I'm watching very carefully to see what happens with the rally today, where that goes to, and what happens when it gets there. We shall see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And all right, US dollar. On the bigger picture, we've still got this big bull flag set up, and that's still got a target in the 114.78 area. And I'm still wondering if that could possibly make target. Well, I have to say, I am skeptical, even though the pattern setup is really nice, and it's backed up by matching bear flags on both Euro and GBP. So, but nonetheless, that's a big mountain to climb, and well, the mountain's not really getting significantly smaller so far. Okay, in terms of the daily chart, we've got no weak RSI 14 sell signal. It's reached possible near miss target. We've seen this double top that broke down here. We've got a double bottom, alternate one, which is broken up, and we're in a decision point. My feeling is this is likely to resolve up along with oil and with equities going down, although we could get potentially a retest of the high on equities if we see a big numbers from Nvidia and if the market reacts positively to that. In terms of EURUSD, nice looking double top here, just waiting for that to break down, and that would be a match with DX going up. GBP USD's got a double top too, hasn't broken down yet, but again, that would be a pretty good match with DX going up. USD JPY, I would like to see the retest of 162, but the Japanese central bank keeps intervening before we get there. So obviously that's making that harder. Short term, no divergence worth mention. We made the RSI 5 buy signal, and the weak sell signal has reached possible near miss target already. In terms of USD CAD, I'm wondering as DX goes up whether we might see a retest of this big range high range for the last 11 years or 12 years really. So a retest of that at 148, possibly higher. We shall see. All right, okay. Let's go to USD CAD weekly chart, and not seeing an awful lot here. This looks like a head and shoulders, but I don't think it is. On the inverted, on the USD CAD daily chart, no current divergence. In terms of Australian dollar, we've got a nice looking overall double top here, or part formed head and shoulders, which I'm expecting to deliver. NZ, keeping an open mind, but we've got this big triangle. If the dollar goes up an awful lot, chances are this triangle is going to break down. Nothing on the daily chart there either. All right, let's have a look at bonds. And bonds have been heavily in the news in recent days. And let's have a look. All right, ZB made it down to 110. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed, and it looks as though we're finally going to see that make the possible, at least the possible near miss target today. I am still bearish on bonds. I know we've just reached a high on bond yields, which hasn't been seen since 2008, but I'm still bearish on bonds. I think they are likely to have an ugly summer, and I'll talk more about that on the bigger picture. On ZN, we have a 60-minute buy signal fixed, and I'm looking for a rally here. I'm not expecting for it to be huge, but we will see how that goes. We will see. So, all right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture. Now, this has actually changed a bit. Now, one, we've made this a new high. That is the new biggest new high since 2007, I think. So since before the financial crisis. We will see how that goes. But this is one, a potential level top here, which I'm not expecting it to be. But we're also breaking up from the significantly large IHS that I've been talking about for a long time, years. So this has a target in the 9.5 area. I think this has a shot at making it over the summer, depending on what happens with oil prices and inflation and the Iran war. So I think this has a shot. The question is whether it can get over the big psychological level at 60. If that's the case, then I think we might find bonds start crumbling seriously. We are already seeing, and this is one problem with Trump alienating all the traditional allies of the US, these allies of the US actually hold large amounts of US treasuries, and they're lightening up. And that's visibly been happening over the last few months, and it may well accelerate. That is going to put pressure on bonds, and that may actually start a significant bull rolling and a significant loss of confidence in US treasuries, which, of course, is weakened already because we have a situation where basically spending is out of control. Usual Trump thing. He upped the debt an awful lot last time he was in power. He's doing the same here. He is not concerned about borrowing money. He just thinks he'll think about that tomorrow. And as long as he's in power, tomorrow will probably never come. All right, looking at the weekly chart here, we have the ascending triangle, and we've broken up. Now, technically, I need to think more about where the target would be, but potentially it's up a long way. The two main options I would be looking at would be, well, I think the minimum target would really be from here, and that target would be up at about the 63 area. We shall see. Obviously, it could fail. This could be an overthrow, and that breaks down, but I'm leaning towards the upside. In terms of the daily chart, the weak RSI 5 sell signal hasn't quite failed yet, but it's thinking about it. I'm not expecting this to deliver a move. These were head fakes in the opposite direction, and I think they were all those will all fail. The ones that haven't failed already, and most of them have. TNX, we're not at the resistance yet, but we're at the monthly upper band. The resistance up here for the IHS, basically, if we get back up to a retest of the 2023 high of 49.97, and I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to, then again, we would have a potential double top, but again, that would be breaking up the IHS with a target in about the 95 area. In terms of the TNX chart here, on the weekly chart, we've got a nice looking triangle, and that triangle is starting to break up. The minimum target for it would be a retest of that 49.97, I think. Looking at the main triangle chart here, that's a nice looking break. It's pulled back within it so far, and might be able to pull back a little more. You quite often see a pullback after a significant level is broken, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. All right, looking at the daily chart, we had a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily. Both of those have now failed, and we have gone higher. So I was predicting that would likely happen on Sunday, and we've obviously already seen that on TNX. No current negative divergence on the hourly chart. In terms of FVX, we have broken up from the triangle here. This triangle was a little more messy than the other one, but nonetheless, and that I'm expecting to deliver a retest this high here at 49.88. On TLT, looking at the triangle, I was expecting to see a test of the triangle support, and we've had a test of triangle support. So I'm expecting, this hasn't broken down yet, but I'm thinking in coming weeks this is likely to break down and head towards this low here at 73.95. This is, in my view, a bear flag triangle. All right, looking at, and actually if you do count it, A, B, C, not quite right. Not really got a great count on this triangle, but nonetheless, I think this is a bearish consolidation. The target is 73.95. Okay, looking at the TLT daily chart, we had already had on Sunday. We'd already had the buy signal there on the daily RSI 5 fail, and we've got a double top here, which is broken down with a target in the 81.2 area, and I'm expecting that to make that target before it likely continues lower. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got a bit of positive divergence. We're seeing that play out at the moment. The hourly RSI 5 buy signal has already made target. RSI 14 buy signal is fixed. That may make target too. But overall, I think this is a counter trend rally. All right, great. Let's have a look at oils. Now, oil's been having an interesting day. We had on Brent, we had a 6-minute sell signal that's reached the possible near miss target. It may yet reach the full target. But we've seen a nice little move off the highs. We got up to slightly over 112.50, and we're down basically $5 from that. CL, we had a sell signal here too. That's also reached the possible near miss targets. And again, we were up in about the 5 area, and we got down below 100. That is a nice little pullback. I'm not assuming there will be more. We could be forming a bull flag potentially. But I'm thinking this might just be a pullback before this goes directly higher. I'm not seeing anything to improve the prospects for oil prices. I remain very bullish on oil prices. HO, we had a sell signal that's reached possible near miss target 2, close to the highs. RBOB, we didn't have a sell signal, but we remain close to the highs. Could these all be double tops? Yes. Is that likely to happen in this universe? I think no. NG, I mean, it's always possible we could pull back and break down through the supports. I'm not seeing any reason for that to happen. If we did, I'd expect it to fail and reject the highs. In terms of NG, we've got a nice looking little IHS here, which broke down up with the target in the 317 area, and we've almost made that target. We're seeing a bit of a pullback. After this pullback, I'm kind of expecting that it will head back. We've got a little level top here. That's pretty much made the target area already. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And okay, first off, now this is the news this morning, because when I recorded the news this morning, when I recorded the video this morning, this was actually at a 26% chance. What we're seeing is a spike up on some news that's come out, and I'm not sure what that news was. Doesn't say that here, but we will see. We will see. But I'm obviously that's some news. That's what's pushed. I actually saw oil CL drop $3 in about 10 minutes earlier. That was the news. Not sure what the news is yet, but certainly there was some. Is it news which is likely to mean the Strait of Hormuz is really going to be open soon? I really doubt it. We shall see. But at the moment, we are seeing a bit of a boost, which is today. I don't know what the reason is. In terms of Brent, we've still got a flag target up at a retest of 134.91. I'm still expecting that to be reached. On the weekly chart, we've got some sell signals brewing, and on the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but I'm not really expecting that to make target. We are testing the daily middle band at the moment. In terms of WTIC, we've got open flag target again at 126.42, and we've got an extension target on a double bottom that broke up a while back, looking for a target at 147.27. We shall see how that goes, but I'm liking the odds of that making it still. In terms of the weekly charts, no divergence. Daily charts, no divergence either, ended and made it back to this first high. In terms of heating oil, but we are holding the daily middle band at the moment, more or less, although we would have broken below it today, intraday. All right, heating oil, already made the flag target. I've got no targets on the upside here, although I am obviously expecting it to go up more. In terms of the weekly chart, nothing. Daily chart, got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but I'm taking that again with a pinch of salt. And again, we've been holding the daily middle band so far. We shall see how that goes. In terms of gas oil, we've still got a flag target up in the 412 area. I'm expecting that to make that target. In terms of the divergence here, we've got some on the weekly chart. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the daily chart. And again, I'm not taking that particularly seriously, and we are back testing the daily middle band at the moment. In terms of natural gas, we're seeing a nice little rally here, and this is good because we've come down a long way we saw a move up to 5.65. We went straight down to 2.49 over 4 months. So that I'm thinking we're going to see a bit of a retracement on the basis of that, and it could go higher than this, but I think we're reaching an area where it could just fail again. We shall see. No current diversions. All right, let's have a look at precious metals. All right, precious metals. I've been commenting that, of course, we're not seeing any flight to safety trade here, and actually today, with indices running and oil coming down, we're seeing a bit of a rally here. That probably gets us to target on the buy signals we've had fixed all week. We're getting close to the possible near miss target on GC. We are not too far away from it on SI. We are thinking about it maybe on palladium so far. Palladium has been the weakest here and has almost got down to the retest of this low that's showing here, but actually it's down here because I'm missing a bit of data at the moment. In terms of platinum, yeah, IB does this sometimes. It's annoying, but it just disappears after a while. 60-minute buy signal is also fixed on platinum. We could see more upside on all of these. HG, we've also got a 60-minute buy signal, and that has now made the target. So that's the first of these metals ones to make target. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. And all right, looking at gold, overall, we've got a very nice looking overall bull flag channel here. The next obvious target within the channel would be channel resistance, and I've got that up in about the 49.40 area. We saw a very nice move up here. We have been seeing what could be a bull flag here. I'm not seeing a strong case for coming back and retesting this lows, but if we see some serious downside on equities, as we might, then obviously that could head off and retest this low, but I'm not seeing a strong case for it at the moment. So we will see. Looking at silver, there's a stronger case here because this is obviously the bull flag here, and this looks an awful lot like a bear flag setting up a retest of the low. So that increases the odds that we're going to see some low retests here. We shall see. Looking at palladium, we have been seeing, we're still on an RSI 14 sell signal on the weekly chart. We have basically come back and almost retested this low on palladium. This could be setting up the second low of a double bottom. In terms of platinum, we've got no divergence on the monthly chart. We've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly chart, and we've got an RSI 14 sell signal that's reached the possible near miss target on the daily chart. Again, bull flag, again, could see a retest of the low, but no compelling need to, but I'm not seeing an alternative reversal pattern here. So we will see. It's possible. Looking at copper, I was talking about this high retest before we saw it because I was thinking we might well form a double top here. So far, that's looking pretty good. We've reached the retest, we've rejected from it. On the daily chart, no current divergence, but I'm thinking we're seeing a bit of a rally here from the daily middle band, and then we are likely to go down afterwards. We shall see. All right, looking at GDX. GDX, we've been seeing some more downside here, wondering about a retest this low here at 78.74. On GDXJ, wondering about a retest this low here at 102.88. Short term, we are rallying on some buy signals on the hourly charts. We're getting close to the possible near-miss target here on the RSI 5, but we're still some way short on the RSI 14, suggesting there is more upside to come. We didn't have that buy signal on GDXJ on the RSI 14, but we did have it on the RSI 5, and that's getting close to the target. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. KC, we have 60-minute buy signal fixed, not made target yet, rallying weekly off the low. This could be bigger picture bottoming action, but at the moment, I'm not seeing any strong evidence of any strong rises because we haven't seen them so far. SB, this looks like a bullish triangle, and obviously I'm hoping that won't prove me wrong by breaking that through with confidence, the monthly pivot, but this looks like a bullish consolidation before a retest of this high here up in the 15.5 area. Looking at CC, CC, we've got a head and shoulders broken down with the target in the 3500 area. We'll see how that goes, but I'm not seeing anything to suggest that won't make target. CT, we've been seeing a bit of retracement here after the initial big double bottom made target. That's perfectly normal, but I'm thinking we're likely forming a bull flag here. Lumber, I think we're waiting for some significant moves down on equities before we see this really deliver anything on the downside, but I'm thinking as and when we start seeing some serious equities downside, then we start resuming the downtrend on lumber. Wheat, I'm thinking this is a bullish consolidation before this goes higher. I'm thinking the same on corn. I'm thinking the same on soy. On soy, we've got a double bottom that's broken up with basically a target, a retest this high here at about the 12.36 area, and well, 12.35 area probably. And I'm leaning towards that being made. We do have a 60-minute sell signal suggesting we might see some more short-term downside, so we shall see. All right, ZL, I'm expecting to resume the upside soon. We're pretty close to the highs. Live cattle, I'm expecting a retest of this high here in about the 251.5 area. AG is made a new retracement low, but I'm thinking we've got a nice looking double bottom here, and I've got my fingers crossed for that to go up. No current positive divergence. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. All right, coffee. We've been seeing a little bit of a rally here, but I wouldn't be astonished to see this go down. But we've made the double top target. We had nice looking flag here. Might still possibly have a flag there. So I'm just going to check whether that was a channel. It kind of looks like a channel, but I'm wondering. All right. That was a channel. Channels do not tend to overthrow. So that bull flag channel is broken. So waiting to see what happens here. Doesn't mean we can't rally some more. No divergence on the weekly chart. On the coffee chart, no current divergence. Possible double bottom setup here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it just continue lower. Looking at sugar, I'm still wondering about this open head and shoulder target in the 9.05 area, but against that, on the monthly chart, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and that tends to be a pretty significant signal. In terms of the weekly chart, we haven't broken up yet from the falling wedge, but I'm thinking it might well do that. And on the daily chart, we don't have an obvious solid reversal pattern here yet, but I am leaning, I think, towards this being a bullish consolidation and probably, well, very possibly taking us up to retest this high here at 16.1. Looking at cocoa, no current divergence going up. We've been seeing a nice rally. That could be ending. We will see. The daily RSI 5 sell signal, which fixed at the highs, has made target. RSI 14 sell signal hasn't, but I don't tend to take those as seriously. Although, having said that, the three previous signals on this chart all made the targets, so they were all buy signals. We will see how that goes, but wouldn't be surprised to see this head down, and this could be a bear flag forming, although I haven't got a decent resistance trend line. Looking at cotton, cotton made the initial level bottom target. We've been seeing a bit of a retrace, but basically, straightforward moves, urea issues, and so on. this is still all very much on the table. I'm expecting to see more upside. In terms of the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Not sure how seriously I'm taking that. The RSI 5 one's already made target. Looking at lumber, we've got this lovely setup that's been forming for 3.5 years with a target down in the 35250 area. And honestly, I'm kind of looking at it thinking, are we going to see this in our lifetimes? But that is where this logically ends. I'm expecting to see the downside on equities that would be supporting that, so I like it. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. Wheat, we've got a double bottom that's broken up with a target in the 739 to 742 area. I'm expecting that to get made and probably more. Wheat on the daily chart, no current negative divergence apart from this old RSI 14 sell signal, which I'm not taking particularly seriously. In terms of corn, we've got a lovely double bottom here. If that breaks up, which it hasn't yet, that would be looking for a target in the 624 to 640.25 range, and I'm expecting that to break up, and I'm strongly leaning towards that making target. That would be a pretty nice long. In terms of corn, on the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fix. Don't know how seriously I'm taking that either. Does this look like a flag? Maybe. Well, it's a bit too big to be a flag, but this could be a rising wedge that could deliver a bit more of a retracement. In terms of soybeans, we've got a very nice looking IHS, and it's fully formed, and we're waiting to see if it will break up. I'm leaning towards it breaking up. If we see a sustained break up, the over 2012-35 area, then we would have a target in the 1560 area, which is ambitious on this chart, but we will see how that goes. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence, we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. All right, looking at the crypto chart, we're seeing a bit of a rally here at the moment. Sorry. My son on the phone. All right, looking at the daily chart here, we're back testing the 50 DMA. We're seeing a bit of a rally here. In terms of the flag, we've made it basically halfway back to the low. We're having a bit of an oversold rally. We could be forming a right shoulder on a head and shoulders here. If so, the ideal target would be in the 79.5k area, with the obvious target, if we're going to see a decent rally on the daily chart, being the daily middle band, which is in the 79.443 area. We could well see that on this move up. Don't have to, but we could well see it. It is an obvious target. In terms of the Solana chart, obviously we're failing on the bigger picture at the weak to middle band, as we are in Ethereum. We're seeing a bit of a rally here, but the flag looks very nice. The initial flag, expanded flag, that is breaking down slightly. We're seeing a bit of a rally, which we often do at this point, and but we will likely see this resume the downtrend fairly soon. Is this a possible head and shoulders, right shoulder forming? I don't think so, no. In terms of Ethereum, failing at the weekly middle band as well. This has been the weakest, and actually you can see that on the flag, because we've really made it more than half of the way back to the retest of the low, which is the flag target, which is 1746. We're seeing a bit of a rally here. I think that's probably a little bear flag. I'm still expecting this to reach in due course the retest of the February low at 1746, and on Bitcoin that low is at 60.1k, and Solana that low is at 67.65, and those are all likely to get reached. So we shall see how that goes. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I will catch you guys again on Sunday. Cheers.